Hi everyone, it's Gati. And so in this video, we're gonna learn how to make this realistic wine effect that you see right now on those three. And yeah, so we're gonna use warp position offset and we're gonna create a material function to create this wine effect. And yeah, so before we jump into this video, I just wanna say that if you wanna download this tree for free, you can find it on my website, so 3dtexol.com. And in general, if you want to support the channel, just go check this website. From there, you can find a lot of resources that will help you to create any kind of project in Unreal Engine. Okay, so before we jump into the material editor, let's talk about the vertex color. So first, let me turn that on. And so here, as you can see, I have no data on the trunk and I have no data on the largest branch. But as soon as we start getting on some smaller branch like this, we start getting a linear gradient, so starting from the bottom of the branch to the very top of the leaf. And so if you're new to Unreal, Vertex Color is used to basically create mask on the tree, and so we can tell to Unreal where we want to apply this white effect. And so making a linear gradient like this helps just keeping things realistic basically. And so if you wonder how can you apply this on your tree, you have few options. So the first option is to go inside speed tree, and in there you actually want to make your tree, and once you're done, you actually want to go inside the vertex color built-in system, and from there you can actually apply vertex color very easily, just using curve basically on your tree. The next option is actually going inside Blender, and inside Blender you want to manually paint vertex color on your tree. Of course, this might take a lot of time depending on the complexity of the tree. And the last option is using add-on. And I actually have an add-on inside Blender which is called Ultimate Vertex Color Toolkit. And from there, inside you have a feature called Hierarchical System. And using this will basically use material of your tree, and this will create automatically just by clicking on a button vertex color on the tree. And of course you have few parameters to adjust here and there. But yeah, so once you have the vertex color ready on your tree, we can move on the next step. Okay, so I'm actually recording this inside Unreal Engine 5.7, the preview version. And so there is actually few things to know about this new system. So one big limitation with warp position offset. So I'm gonna show you that, and of course at the end of the video, we are actually gonna see how to fix or mitigate this issue. So this is the new voxelize way. So the new way of rendering Nanite tree. And so I'm gonna select this. And so as you can see, if I go back in my scene, when we basically enter in the, so let me go in overview mode, as you can see with the raster bin down there, as soon as we start getting into the orange cluster, basically our warp position offset, so our wine on tree start getting very glitchy. So of course I hope and I think this will gonna get fixed or patched or improved in the future. But for now, in the preview test at least, we have this limit using warp position offset and nanite with voxelize. But of course, using the old preserve area, so default nanite, this works perfectly. And so using any other tree using LD as well. Okay, so now let's actually make our material function. So in here, I'm just going to look for material function like here, and I'm just going to type m underscore advance underscore wind. So let's open that up. And so in here, let's start by adding 15 parameter. So I'm just actually going to duplicate this. So we have 3 here. I'm just going to organize this because we want to get organized. Let's add more of these. So we have 7 right now. We have 10, 13, and we need just 2 more like this. Okay. So let's actually now import a custom node. So let's look for custom. So using this node, we actually need to have 15 input now. So let's add 15 inputs, and we'll need to name them correctly. So you will have the code inside the description, but we need to make sure that the output type is set to CMOT float3, like it is by default. And we are going to take the code from the description, and I'm going to paste that here. So now we have the code. So now in order to work, we actually need to make those outputs. Let's click in the node, let's drop here, and we're gonna name those. And so the name need to be accurate. Of course, I think I'm gonna add all of the name in the description for you to be more simple. And I'm just gonna speed up this process. So let's now place the parameter inside all of the input. So the first one that we need is the world position. So absolute world position. So let me look for world position, and we are going to take the X, Y, and Z value and plug that into the world position. Okay, so after this, let me actually create one more, and we will call that this, we call this one wine, like this. So that way, with this parameter, we actually enter in the wine section. And so in here, I'm going to create a group. So very important if you want to be organized. And I'm going to call that 00 wine. And so in here, this one's going to be the first one. And this one, this is going to be the wine strength. So let me rename this wine space strength like this. So this is going to be the first one, but we actually miss this one, which is the wine direction. So I'm just going to hold 4 and left click, and this is going to bring a constant 4. I'm going to convert that to a parameter and name this as wine direction, like this. Okay, so with that, I want to include that. So in the wine, I think I'm just going to take all of the parameters like this and include them in the wine group. So now all of them are in a group, and I can actually plug that into the right wine direction. So let's enter some default value. So of course, all of the parameters in here are very important and are very precise in order to have realistic wine. So I recommend just watching the video and following through the video. Okay, so in here, this is not very important as value. Let's put 1, 0.5, and 0.5. So this is the global wine direction. Of course, if you want to change that, you can add a material parameter collection if you want to control that outside. So from a blueprint, for example. And so let's put that here and this one here. Okay, so now let's take the 3 wine global parameter. So the next one's going to be the wine speed. This one's going to be the wine scale, and we need a 0.5 value on each one of those, like this. No, not the name, the value actually. Okay, and so now we're going to bring alert node. So alert node, very powerful node. In case you don't really know how this works, this basically, let's say I put a 10 value in here, like this. Let's say I have the alpha, and so if my alpha is 0, I'm gonna have basically the alpha value, and if my alpha is 1, I'm gonna have the b value. And so from there, with basically just a slider of 1, like this. So now I have a slider. I can control just with a little slider coming from 0 to 1, I can control all the value between 0 and 10. So, and this is very powerful if you want to have, so very easy to use parameter, but you have a complex value like we do in here. So I'm going to put that back to 5, and I can actually keep that as a slider, max, or probably not. It's really up to you if you want to have this as a slider. Okay, so now the value we need is actually 10. Now I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. I'm going to make some space as well, because we will need some space. And so in the lert2, we actually want to have 2 of value, and in lert3, we need 0.032. And so in here, now we can plug those values like here. And now one thing that we can do is I want to multiply. So I'm going to create 3 multiply nodes by holding M and left click. And I'm going to plug that in here. for all three and plug the result of the lerp into the multiply node. So this will help us to have overall control of this section. So this is the wine global section, by the way. So of course, to have realistic wine, we need multiple layer of wine, and so this is the first one. So now we can put the result inside our custom node. So let's take the wine strength and put that in here, the speed in here, and the scale, I think in here, yep. So this is perfect. This is done for the first layer of wine. Now let's do the gust one. So I'm gonna call this one gust, more like this. And I actually, no, I don't want to have this as a slider. Now let's pick 3 parameters. So the first parameter is going to be the gust strength. This one. This. Next one is going to be the gust scale. And the next one is going to be the gust frequency, like this. Okay, so we can actually put a 0.5 value on all of those. And now let's bring 3 lerp node like we did below, above, and also 3 multiply node. Okay, so we can put the gust, and we need the default value of 1 in this one. I think we did, yeah, we did right for this one. And this one in here, and this one in here. Now we can put all of this parameter inside the alpha, and now we're ready to put the correct value. So the gust strength is going to be 12. The next one is going to be 0.0632. And the last one's going to be 181.622. And so now I can plug the result inside the multiply node. And I can take this, press C, and this one's going to be gust. Okay, so now we can plug the result. So the gust strength first, going to be here, the gust scale here, and the gust frequency in here. Okay, so from there we can actually do the last parameter. I think we need too much of parameter because we actually need the vertex color for the mask and a time node for the animation, of course. So I'm going to put the time value into time value and the vertex color. So here I use red, but depending on what vertex color you use, you want to put the one you use in flex mask. Okay, so now let's move on to the last section, which is the turbulence one. So this one's going to be named turbulence. This one's going to be turbulence intensity, like this. Next one's going to be turbulence speed. And last one's going to be turbulence scale, like this. Okay, so I'm going to place them. I'm going to bring 3 lerp node. Can move that, and I can delete that as well. And 3 multiply node. So I'm going to plug the result in here for all the multiply node, and I'm going to put 1 as default value for the turbulence and 0.5 for this one. Okay, so in the intensity one, so in here we want to have a value of 0.2256, and I can plug the result into the alpha, this one in here. For the turbulence speed, we need 17, so the speed 17.43, and I can plug the result into the multiply. And for the turbulence scale, we'll need a value of 90, and I can plug that into the multiply as well. Okay, so the first turbulence intensity, I'm going to plug that in turbulence intensity. For the speed, plug that into turbulence speed, and now the last one into turbulence scale. Okay, we actually miss the 2 last value, so let's call this section turbulence, and let's bring 2 last parameter. Only one needed lerp. This one's going to be called tree height, and last one's going to be called tree bend, like this. So for tree bend, we'll only use 1 lerp node in here. You can actually bring another called trunk, so we can have overall control of this section. Not very needed, but I guess it's more organized like this. And I'm gonna bring a multiply node for both, and I'm gonna plug that into the alpha, and I need a value of 90 in here, like this, and a 0.5 default value. For the height, we can just plug that into the multiply like this without any lerp. And so now let's plug the tree height onto tree height, and let's plug the last one in here, and we'll call that trunk or more tree bend. Okay, so now we can actually apply and save. And so from there, I can actually put that here. And the last thing that we need to do in order to be organized, well, of course, I'm going to cut that, is we need to make sure that the sort priority is good in order for us to have the best control on our wine effect. So the first one's going to be 0. So sort priority 0. This one's going to be 1, 2, and basically I'm going to speed up this whole process, but you just keep doing like this until you're done with all the parameters. Okay, so once you're done, you can apply, save, and now we can use our material. So in this case, I'm just going to use my material. It's pretty simple, but of course you can make one, or you should have already one if you have a tree. Okay, so I'm inside the material. So this is a very standard material. I just have base color, roughness, opacity, and normal with multiply for to control the subsurface. So very basic. This one is set to, of course, two-sided, and the blend mode is set to mask, and the checkbox on two-sided is checked. So very basic material setup for a tree, I would say. So we are in the leaf material, but of course we're gonna have to do this in the leaf and in the trunk material. So let's bring our material. So we have our M, so I call it M, but of course it's MF since it's a material function. So let me refresh that. And so we can actually now put the result into the world position offset. And so now if I apply, this is going to take a few times to compute. Okay, once it's done, we can go inside the trunk one. So let me open the trunk. Well, again, very basic material. In here, I just have albedo, normal, and I think I changed the roughness value. In here, it's opaque default leads. And so I'm just going to bring the same material function and plug that into the world position offset. Now we can apply and save. Okay, so once you create the two material instance, so of course, if you have more than two material, you will need to make more material instance. But once you create them, let's open those two up, and now I'm going to explain you how to use them and how they work. So of course, you're going to have to put the same parameter on both if you want the leaf to follow the branch. And yeah, but one way of doing this very simple. It's very simple. You just go right click the group, you copy all property in group, and you go in the other one and you just paste all property in group. Okay, so the first parameter, which is the wine direction, so very simple to understand. So depending on where you put some value, so for example, the R channel, this is going to be the X channel. So if you have a value on R channel, you're gonna have, so if you only have value in R channel, you're gonna only have wine on the X axis. And so this is gonna be the Y axis, and this is gonna be the Z axis. Okay, so after that, as you can see, we have 4 different type of wine. So this is 4 layer just working all together to create this realistic wine, basically. And so the first one is the wine one. So let me turn all other so we can clearly see that like this. And so as you can see, the wine global is more like a general motion on the tree. So in there you have the strength and the speed parameter, and the scale is to control how much local you want to be this wine. So for example, if I lower this value, this is gonna be much more global. But in the other case, if I increase this value, this is going to be much more local. So keep in mind that 0.5 is basically the default value for all. So when you are at 0.5, except on the general button, you basically at the mid range where so max being the max range. After that, you start getting unrealistic wine, and 0, you have no wine. Okay, so now I will turn off the wine global, and let's try to see the gust one. So the gust, it's more like a different frequency of wave just blowing onto the tree, and it's more local. And of course, we have the same parameter. So if you want to change the scale to change how much local or global you want this gust to be to affect your tree, you want to change this value. And of course, you have the frequency, which is going to change basically the speed of this motion, and the strength, which is going to increase the weight, I would say, of these gusts. So let me reset that to 0.5. So of course, it's really up to you. How do you want to set up this? Of course, you can also create a blueprint and make it like a global wine. So you can use material parameter collection, and then you can drive with, for example, 1 or 4 maybe for each. You can drive so all these parameter with like one parameter, and so you can control the overall wine on your scene. And you can also make this a global parameter, so you can also globally control the direction of the wine. So this could be very useful, but I'm not covering that in this video though. Okay, so let me turn off the gust, and now let's go into turbulence wine. So this one is more like for the leaf basically. So don't watch, of course, the branch. It's because we have mismatch parameter. This is why they're not on it. But basically this turbulence, so let me turn that off so we can see this is without and this is with. It's basically a small motion on each leaf. So of course, really up to you. How do you want to control this? And for the last, I need to actually put the overall wine. But for the last one, we actually need to put trunk 1. And as you can see, it's more like a normal. So let me exaggerate this value. It's more like a overall tree moving. So this could be very useful, and I found this value very useful if you want to see your wine from far. So of course it's very exaggerated right now, but with this value, this help just seeing some wine effect on the tree from far on the tree basically. So really up to you. How do you want to approach this using this parameter? But yeah, so that's pretty much it. And once you're done, the only thing that you have to take care of is that you don't want any turbulence on the trunk or any branch material, because if you have any turbulence in there, so let me turn that on. As you can see, the branch would start moving like the leaf. But of course, since it's not leaf, we don't need turbulence, so we're gonna turn that off. And as you can see now, the branch look perfect. And so since you have all the same parameter on each parameter, so the trunk compared to the leaf one, now they're all stick together. Alright, so that's the end of this tutorial. So don't forget that if you want to download this tree, you can find it on my website 3dtexol.com, and also it would mean a lot if you go there. There is a lot of resources for 3D artists. You can find it for free. You can even have a subscription if you want to get more of those. And yeah, so don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, and if you have any question regarding this tutorial or any question, just ask me down in the comment. Goodbye.